This is First Flight to First Class.
Oh, that's a nice title, isn't it? Teaching's not something I actually wanted to do. I went into it completely naively. Like, I'm going to go to Vietnam and become a teacher. Questioning me like, well, why are you doing that? Why are you going so far? Very low budget. And I had no idea what I was doing. Swamped by locals. Literally knew nothing. I was saying yes to everything. I'd put myself in that situation as well. Is that what you were in for the interview? The underwear was mine. I now have my first teaching gig. We celebrated that night. The time that I was in Vietnam, the people were just incredible.
Teacher taught by Language for Life. From First Flight to First Class. Kane's journey into teaching.
Oh, that's a nice title, isn't it?
It is. It's not a bad one. You know, creativity is flowing. So, no, tell us a little bit about yourself and a bit of background about Kane Price.
Yeah, well, consider I'm a teacher. You know, teaching's not something I actually wanted to do. It's not something I studied. You know, I actually studied civil engineering out of high school. But 2008 was the economic collapse. So there was nobody getting jobs in construction. So I ended up working different jobs, random jobs, still never thought about teaching. I went to Ghana in 2009, did some volunteer work. I think that was the first bit of teaching that I did, even though it's no longer on my CV. I don't class that as teaching. But I suppose that was the first welcome that I had to teaching, yeah.
So before you went into the realms of teaching English as a foreign language, what was the gap like? What was you doing in between then?
Different jobs, working in a factory for most of that, for about 2 years. But there was just something, you know, I never felt settled. I was young. I was 21, 22. I knew that wasn't going to be my life. I was working with good people, good, honest, decent people. But I was young, you know, and ambitious, and I knew there was something else out there for me to do. I wanted to travel. That's what I wanted to do. After going to Ghana, I kind of got the bug, you know, I got the itch. And I just knew I need to do something like that, just do something different with my life, I guess. Yeah.
No, I get that. I think a lot of people go through that when they're younger. No, how did you actually learn about teaching English abroad? You know, where did that come from? Because I'm assuming, obviously, at the moment, you were still unaware of it.
Yeah, well, one of the friends that I met when I was in Ghana, like I said, because I was working in a factory, I was feeling a little bit lost, a little bit down, didn't know where my life was going exactly. I had a chat with a friend, and it was my friend who told me about the world of TEFL, which is teaching English as a foreign language. And even then, I wasn't sort of like hooked, oh my God, I want to become a teacher. It was that I could travel. So I could teach and travel, because what I didn't want to do when I was traveling was come back and work in the UK for 6 months to then go and travel for 6 months and keep going back and forth. So this was kind of a way of, well, I can travel and earn money to continue traveling and do that, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to travel, really. So I looked into TEFL, did like an online certificate like most people do at the beginning, and chose a destination.
And how did you come to the conclusion of where you'd go, what destination you was going to go?
I like to think it was random, but actually the more I think about it, because I'd been in Ghana, so I'd sort of done Africa. I was like, well, where's next? Where's the next big place that I can go? And it was Asia. And yeah, there was no reason for Vietnam. I didn't know anybody that had been to Vietnam at that time anyway. As it turns out, loads of people go to Vietnam. That's where a lot of people, you know, start their career in teaching. And so yeah, I just chose it because it just felt like the furthest away, the biggest adventure at that time.
And before you actually set off and before you went, did you do any research into, you know, teaching, obviously over there, or, you know, in relation to even traveling? Because obviously I know you mentioned that was the goal. Yeah,
no, nothing. I'm one of these, you know, I went into it completely naively. I had no idea what I was doing, if I was being perfectly honest. It was just, I'm going to Vietnam, I'm going to become a teacher. So I just saved up some money. I took the bare minimum. I packed a bag with some clothes. And I think I had like $1,000, and that was it. So I just I packed my certificate, had my money, my $1,000, and it was just a dream, just a vision. Like, I'm going to go to Vietnam and become a teacher. That was it. That was the only planning that I had. It was that very simplistic idea. that's what I'm going to do.
Very free, just let's go.
Basically, yeah.
And obviously, when you was going to Vietnam, you booked your flight. Had you booked a return flight, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, to see how it goes, or what was your plans? Because $1,000 won't get you very far. I know in obviously in Asia it may get you quite far, but you've still got limitations.
Yeah. So I had 10 weeks. I booked a return flight for 10 weeks because around the time a friend of mine was getting married. So I think I went in June, and a friend was getting married in London in September. So I gave myself 10 weeks, and that was basically it. Like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least I gave it a go. But I also had that safety net of the return flight, even though, some people will tell you, you shouldn't have that sort of negative mentality. But for me, it wasn't. It was, I never doubted myself, but it was just having that safety net.
Yeah.
So 10 weeks I gave myself, which is a very small budget.
And before you went, obviously, friends and family, was there any doubters? Was there much support? Was there anything like that that you had before you went?
Well, as I said, because I studied civil engineering before, so a lot of people were like questioning me, like, well, why are you doing that? Why are you going so far? Why not get back into civil engineering? So there wasn't a great amount of support, I would say. Some people were fully supportive, and even though I don't think anybody really understood it, why I wanted to do it, why I wanted to go so far and do something completely different. I think even I didn't understand it at the beginning. I just knew I had to do it, So even with all of the, as you said, doubters, none of that deterred me, none of it swayed me. I just knew I had to go.
Yeah. No, that's great. And right, so set the scene. You've just landed in Vietnam with your $1,000, a little backpack, and a dream of traveling and teaching. What was was there a culture shock? What was it like stepping off the plane and being in a totally different country?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it being all that, because I said I'd already been to Ghana, so I'd been somewhere completely different anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it was different, but I wasn't out in the sticks. I was in a big city. I flew to Ho Chi Minh City, so I was it's a big city, 5 million people, 7 million people. 5 million bikes. That's what I was told. 5 million motorbikes. I had a hostel booked for 2 weeks. And like you do when you're traveling, you meet people. There's a couple of people staying in different hostels that I'd met. And, just doing like the touristy stuff, going around seeing the city, doing different tours. Mm-hmm. And a couple of the people that I'd met actually, because, Vietnam, you travel from, it's such a long country, I think it's like 2,000 kilometers or more. And it's just, you go from south to north, north to south. So I was living in the south, and some of the people that I'd met, they were traveling up north and then going around the rest of Southeast Asia. So, I'd made friends with these people, and they were going to the next place. I was like, well, I could go there. It's a beach destination. I thought I'll go there for a few days. I'll take an even smaller backpack, a few t-shirts, pair of shorts, go there for a few days, and then I'll come back. Well, that was the plan. And I went for 3 weeks. I traveled literally from south all the way north to a place called Sapa, which is near the Chinese border. And I just kept going. I thought, well, let's see what's in the next place. Yeah.
No. So again, very free will, just go with the flow and see how it was. So you say that was for 3 weeks you went travelling?
3 weeks.
So what made you actually come back down to reality, I assume? Because I imagine the £1,000 was dwindling.
Yes.
And I imagine, obviously, the dream of travelling had semi-been ticked. You'd done a good amount of travelling in Vietnam. So where did the teaching come in?
Yeah, so like I'm now 3 weeks into my 10-week deadline. Time's running out. Money's running out, because obviously I was on a very low budget, overspending for the 3 weeks that I was traveling. And actually the guys that I was with, they were going into Laos, which is obviously sort of next to northern Vietnam. And I was that close to going with them. I thought, that could be fun. But I had to remember why I was there. I needed to teach. I needed to find a job. Otherwise, there's no way I could have supported a life out there. And I would have gone back as a failure, I guess, without even trying. So I did add that mindset, go back to Saigon, go back to Ho Chi Minh City where my stuff is, and then start trying to find a teaching job, because even at that point, I had no idea what I was doing. I hadn't done any work whatsoever in networking or any research into how to find a job. So after 3 weeks, an amazing 3 weeks, I was back in Ho Chi Minh City from square one with less time and with less money. But I remember there was one place, there's a park in the center of District 1 in Ho Chi Minh City. And before I'd gone off traveling, you go to this park and there's lots of trees and it's all shady, and a lot of tourists go to get, escape the sun, escape the heat. And I remembered when had been there a few weeks before, within 30 seconds of sitting down, a minute maximum of sitting down in this park, you are swamped by locals just wanting to practice their English. They see a foreigner and think, it's a great opportunity to practice their English, and they're all curious about what you're doing and why you're there. So I remembered that. I thought, well, maybe that could be a starting point to sort of do some networking. And it worked, because I was there, and like I said, within 30 seconds, within a minute, there's 15, 20 locals all standing around, and I was giving my email address to everybody. I said, I'm looking for a teaching job. It was, try this school, try that person, try this, try this email address, try that website, try that school. So that became my way of networking. And I did that for about a week, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I was, again, just getting emails from all over going, I met you in the park. Try this school and try that school. And one day I got an email from an email that I'd sent, or I can't quite remember, but I got an email basically for a job interview in a school, just from sitting in a park.
That's amazing. The fact that obviously the local community, obviously one, intrigued of who you are, and then being able to help you out. Sorry to interrupt. Just a quick word about Language for Life. They provide flexible online English courses to help you communicate confidently at work and in daily life. You can book an appointment by visiting languageforlifeonline.com. Let's get back into it. Now, obviously, you got an interview.
Mm-hmm.
How did that go?
Well, as I said, I took a backpack with me. I hadn't even prepared for that scenario, which again is crazy in itself, because I didn't exactly go out there. I did no prep whatsoever. I didn't even pack trousers and a shirt. So it's not even like I was setting myself up for this life of becoming a teacher. Some people tell you, like, my mindset wasn't really in it. And yeah, it still happened, because when I had my first job interview, I remember turning up, because I didn't even know what to expect in terms of like schools. I didn't know what the setup was like. I knew nothing. I literally knew nothing. And I turned up to a job interview. I was wearing green 3/4 shorts. I had this green long sleeve t-shirt, trainers that I'd been traveling in for weeks. They'd seen better days. And that's how I turned up, which if I'm thinking about now, now starting a business, if somebody turned up to a job interview looking like that, I mean, you yourself, if you turn up to a job interview like that, or somebody turn up to a job interview for you, you'd look at them straight away and think, no.
It doesn't give the best impression,
It
does
doesn't.
it? First impressions do matter, unfortunately.
Not in this case, because I know myself, I wasn't dressed for the occasion, but I think I was so lucky because they needed somebody. They needed a teacher there and then.
Yeah.
And I was there. So I think for them it was slim pickings, because you got to imagine, I had literally a TEFL certificate. I don't even remember much of the course. I remember doing there was one section of the TEFL where you had like a very simple sentence and you had to break it down like word by word. Where's the subject? Where's the main verb? Where's the adjective? Where's the adverb? And at the time, I had no idea what any of that was, because in the UK, we don't study grammar. So all of that made no sense to me whatsoever. And I don't remember it from the course. I don't remember learning any of that stuff from the course. I've learned it from the years of teaching. So I had no experience. I had no idea what I was doing as a teacher. Didn't really understand the English language in terms of being able to teach it. And I was dressed appallingly. And I was just lucky because they needed somebody there and then. And I remember my friend, a friend that I made friend with these couple of Vietnamese guys who were working in a travel shop, and he'd taken me to the school. And I remember he dropped me off and I didn't even think about how I was going to get back or any of that stuff. He just dropped me off, and it started to rain. And in Vietnam, when it rains, it pours. So I just assumed he'd probably gone home or whatever. So he dropped me off. I did the job interview. I actually don't remember much about the job interview itself, because I remember just thinking to myself, like, I'm way out of depth. Like, because I walked into this building, and you should have seen it, this big fancy building, all glass windows, air conditioned, marble floors. Like, it was a really fancy school. And then you've got me, literally just like I've just come off some backpacking trip.
Digital nomad.
Yeah, with not even the digital side of things. I didn't even have, much of the technology. I didn't even like a laptop or a smartphone or anything. And all I remember is, sort of at the end of the interview, basically just said, "Well, we have a group for you. We've got a class," and it was Saturday, Sunday morning. 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. So just 2 hours Saturday morning, 2 hours Sunday morning with the same group of kids. Do you want it? And I was like, well, yeah. So that was it. I all of a sudden got a job as a teacher. And I couldn't believe it, because again, looking at myself without any experience, a terrible CV in terms of teaching experience, because there was none. And I remember just shaking hands and saying, right, well, this might have been somewhere midweek, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe, even Friday, I'm not sure. But I know it was starting not long after, maybe a few days or a week after. And I just remember leaving the interview, like, I've done it. For, I don't know, a year, 18 months, it had been this thought process. I'm going to Vietnam, I'm going to become a teacher. I'd spent 3 weeks traveling, and I'd only spent about a week, 2 weeks looking for a job. So within 5 weeks of landing in Vietnam with absolutely nothing in terms of contacts, networking, 5 weeks later, into my 10-week deadline, I now have my first teaching gig. And I just left the building completely elated, like it was euphoric. And then come back to earth, it's absolutely hammering it down. And I see my friend across the street. It's like, oh my God, he's waited for me. Again, he was drenched because the rain was coming down. And I remember his face from across the road, he gave me a little thumbs up as to say, like, did it go well? And I just did that, gave him a thumbs up. And yeah, we celebrated that night. But yeah, it was incredible.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I don't know what it was like, obviously, getting teaching jobs there. But I would say you was extremely lucky in how things panned out for you. I will ask in a bit, obviously, how you would, what advice potentially for teachers you may give in that situation. So I will come back to that. But I would definitely say the stars aligned for you. You was able to get some travelling done and then get into a position. Now, obviously, did you go straight into, obviously, teaching there? Or, because I know, again, in teaching, hours can be, not full-time as such, and some you have to teach for different people. What happened then? Obviously, you got the job, absolutely amazing. What's next? What actually happened? Do you go straight into teaching or what?
Basically, yeah, because I started pretty soon after, and not long after that, I ended up with another job working for another school. Again, the same sort of thing, the same sort of networking. I got an email from one of the managers of another school to say, you've met one of our colleagues, he met you in the park, he said you're looking for a teaching job, would you be interested in coming for an interview? So literally within the space of a couple of days, I've gone from having absolutely nothing to all of a sudden there's now 2 schools.
I've got to ask,
yeah,
for the second interview, did we wear 3 quarters and trainers that probably stunk to high heaven?
Yeah, nope.
Oh,
no, I went a little bit more professional, well, a lot more professionally this time, because as I said, the friends that I'd made, these 3 Vietnamese guys, they work in a travel shop, and it was owned by this Vietnamese couple, this incredible Vietnamese couple, and they'd become my family during my time in Vietnam. We'd become this little family. And this time I was sitting in the shop about an hour before the interview. I was actually wearing the 3 quarters, the t-shirt. I thought, well, I wear the same thing. It worked last time. But
lucky clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my lucky clothes. And one of the guys, Vin, he just sort of come up to me, he looked at me and he said, is that what you're wearing for the interview? And I was like, yeah. He's like, no. And he said something to everybody else in Vietnamese, of course. And with 30 seconds later, they're all off. They all disappeared. And they come back 15, 20 minutes later. They'd gone and got me trousers, shirt, belt, shoes, everything. Like, they'd kitted me out. The underwear was mine, but they'd just gone off and got all of these things for me to make me look professional, to give me a better chance of getting a job this time, because you can't get lucky twice. And that just says something about the people that I'd met at the time that I was in Vietnam. The people were just incredible. I can't speak highly enough of them. They literally give me the clothes off the back.
Well, I was going to say, how did it make you feel? Because the warmth, I imagine you would have got from that.
Yeah, again, they didn't know me. They had no reason to do any of that stuff. Or they could have just pointed me out to a clothes shop and said, go and buy some clothes. But they didn't. They went and literally got, it was their trousers, it was their shirt, it was their shoes, it was their belt. And it's just an incredible thing, and it's something I've found from all of my years of traveling. People are good, people help. I can't, I still think about them. I can't speak highly enough of them. Incredible people.
It is. It's amazing. Again, what is in people. There is a lot of good.
Yeah.
And again, it shows people know they didn't need to do that for you, and then obviously they did, and it's fantastic. Now, the second interview, was it the same as the first? Same kind of school? Same kind of setup? Was it the same hours? That kind of thing? What?
I don't remember too much about it. I can't remember it too well, but it's a similar school. But this one was like a boarding school. So there's a lot of Vietnamese kids. They lived on site, ate on site, studied on site. But again, they offered me some hours there and then in the interview. And again, I think I was just in the right place at the right time. The schools were starting the new academic year. They needed somebody, and I was there.
Yeah.
And I think because, being British, because I was a native speaker, I got the job purely for that. But again, because I'd put myself in that situation as well, and I was willing, and I was flexible, and I would just say yes to anything.
Mm-hmm. He's qualified, he's hired, he's ready on paper, but is he ready to teach? Find out in part 2 of First Flight to First Class, available on Sunday the 22nd of February on Language for Life YouTube channel. We'll see you there.